Hi, welcome. My name is Tiffany Smith, and we have the privilege of speaking with Mr. Michael Marsh today. So, Michael, how are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good.
Good,
Thank
good. So one of the hot topics that we see everywhere in the media today is the Second Amendment, school safety. Tell me a little bit about your thoughts on the Second Amendment.
I believe that the Second Amendment to the United States Constitution is there for a reason,
Okay.
just like every other amendment. And the Second Amendment isn't the only part of the Constitution under attack. The same people that want to take away our Second Amendment rights to own a weapon, a lot of them want to abolish the whole Constitution. Some of them admit it. And like here in Oregon, there's an attempt to do away with, get around the voter electoral college.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of, they want to go to a popular vote.
Yeah, and we've actually already almost got that here, where all of our electoral votes actually go where the popular vote went. So that's a huge ding there for us. Go ahead and...
That's because they voted for Hillary. But, you know, if they had voted for Trump, actually, you know, then it wouldn't have been with the majority.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a reason for it, just like there's a reason for the Second Amendment. And the popular vote wants to do away with the states, basically.
Okay, so a stronger federal government is really what they're looking for.
Yeah. And people who want to do away with the Second Amendment, like David Hogue, as soon as Parkland happened, he was out there screaming, "We got to get rid of the NRA."
Mm-hmm.
Not one school shooting has ever been done by an NRA member. Not one mass shooting has ever been done by an NRA member. But they went directly after the NRA.
Mm-hmm.
And they're still doing it. His group has started a super PAC called Families versus the Assault Weapons. And here in Oregon, they are planning to have an initiative drive to ban assault weapons, which is not a good thing.
Well, in that case, that's actually expanding on the definition of assault weapons then, because assault weapons are already legal or illegal.
Yeah. They are expanding. A real assault weapon is an automatic weapon.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, if you get right down to it, an assault weapon can be a rock. You know, ask Goliath.
Right,
yeah.
Right.
And, or Abel, for that matter. So, you know, humans have, from the beginning, been very ingenious about weapons. But what this ban is, you know, is really a ban on semi-automatic pistols and rifles, both.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll note that they say they put the state police in charge of, instead of the local sheriffs and city police.
Yeah.
Because the state police are the governor's private police force. And right now they have a Democrat, Kate Brown, who doesn't think people should be armed as our governor, which is why we should elect Aaron Auer to be our governor.
Right.
But the thing people, you know, they think this isn't being done in a vacuum. If you look at the Democrats who are the ones pushing this so-called assault weapons ban, for the last couple of years they've been going to, like, during the election, whenever Trump held a rally, you know, Hillary's supporters went and started fights. You know, they had
Hillary
riots.
or Bernie back before the main election. Yeah, absolutely. I've heard so many stories about people going to the hospital, people were physically assaulted, things like that. Tell me a little bit about gun-free zones, okay? So we actually, here in Oregon, had a school shooting. And from my understanding, it was the first one. Now, I wasn't, I don't believe, born yet. Tell me how that's really affected the way Oregonians think about the Second Amendment, and how did the gun-free zone really affect policies and safety?
Gun-free zones is just telling the nut jobs, hey, this is a safe place to shoot up the crowd. They've had 2 here in Oregon. The first one is Springfield, and that's probably maybe before you were born.
It was, I believe, 87. Don't quote me on that. So yeah,
It's pretty old. Either before or you were very young. The most recent one, which is one you're probably talking about, is the one at Umpqua Community College there in Roseburg. And when Obama came down to give his take away the gun speech, the people of Roseburg stood on the streets corner holding signs saying, "Go away."
I heard about that before I moved here. I heard about that, and that right there made me very proud to know that I was moving to that state. Actually,
Yeah.
I was very excited. Okay, so in terms of school safety and mass shootings here in Oregon, how have gun-free zones affected that?
Well, at Umpqua Community College, I don't think it was a gun-free zone. In fact, interestingly, there were some veterans there, and some of them had their guns with them. But they locked down the building.
Yeah.
So they couldn't go to the rescue. And so, they had to wait for the police to come.
Okay.
And, the police did come and they did take care of it, unlike Parkland where the police stood outside.
Right.
Just let it happen. Same thing there at Columbine, they talk about Columbine a lot, but the police stood outside and let it happen. That's one of the reasons I believe people have a right to be armed, so you can protect yourself.
So is that, do you think, the main reason people should be armed is to protect themselves from potential harmful individuals?
Well, it's for harmful individuals for right now.
Okay, is there someone else we should be worried about? Sorry, I'm leading you here,
No,
but
well,
is
you
there
should.
someone else we should be worried about and not just individuals
They
walking down
talk
the street?
about, the worst mass shooting in this country was there in Las Vegas. Or the 59 dead and
I believe that was the number, absolutely, and they couldn't find him, and
100 and some odd wounded.
Yep, and he was up there in a window, and it turns out that the hotel let the guns in, and I believe they were bought legally and things like that.
The thing is, okay, I mean, that's a horrible thing. Adolf Hitler, he murdered, his government murdered 7 million Jews. Joseph Stalin, when he starved to death over 7 million Ukrainians because they wanted to be paid for their work they were doing. So you have to keep the government honest, and that's one good thing about Trump's election. You forgot to tell us how much time we have. But one good thing about Trump's election is it has exposed the deep state. Well, you see how corrupt the FBI and the Department of Justice is. And it's probably not just those 2 departments that are corrupt. So
do you feel that we have a right or even a reason to believe we should defend ourselves against the deep state or the government more than these individuals who are shooting up schools?
Well, right now it's more the individuals right now
Okay.
are the problem. But like I said, you know, like when the Parkland shooting happened, that same day they were calling on abolish the NRA and get rid of any politician NRA supported. And like I said earlier, not a single school shooting, not a single mass shooting that's been done by an NRA member.
Right.
So there's something else going on besides safety and, you know, protecting kids. They want to get rid of the Second Amendment. And if you listen to the Democrats talk, anytime they disagree with anybody, it doesn't really matter what the issue is. Right now it's immigration. But everyone who they disagree with is a Nazi who deserves to be beat up. The children deserve to be kidnapped and raped. You know, Peter Fonda's not the only one saying all this stuff.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much the official Democrat Party line. Okay, now, if you have a different opinion than the Democrat Party, you got two choices right now. Be a good little slave and go along with whatever the Democrats want to do, or vote them out, or eventually we're going to have a civil war. The country's breaking up. Yeah, this, you know, they're talking about Trump running in 2020. There might not be a 2020 if the Democrats get control of the Congress again.
So this is a more immediate issue than you were talking about earlier. So if the Second Amendment were to be repealed, what do you think would happen? How would that affect normal citizens like you and me?
Okay, the assault weapon ban that is this, they've got it ready to circulate in 3 Portland area. One's a rabbi, 2 are one's a former Episcopalian rector, and another one's a Lutheran pastor. And that ban, you know, it says they're going to do away with semi-automatic weapons.
Only full semi-automatic weapons, mind you. I'm sorry, that's
Whatever that means.
oxymoronical
Yeah.
term there.
Yeah. But it's basically, you know, they want to do away with all, you know, keep the citizens from having semi-automatics.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now once this, in 2019, when the law goes into effect, people are going to have 160 days in which to either destroy the weapon, send it to someone out of state, you know, and they're supposed to do, or they can give it back to a authorized gun dealer to be whatever, and the state police are the ones that are overseeing all this, not the local county sheriffs and all that. And okay, who's going to hand in their, who's going to get rid of their guns? So what happens when that 160 days is done and nobody turned in their guns?
Then they all become illegal and can be confiscated.
Okay, so who's going to do the confiscation?
Yeah.
There's a reason they gave it to the state police instead of the local county sheriffs and the local police. And a lot of communities have, the last few years have been saying, okay, you know, we're going to have a sanctuary county here for the Second Amendment.
Like a gun-free county.
No, we're going to have, people are allowed to have guns here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Marion County Commission has done it, Lane County Commission has done it, the petition going around Multnomah County to do it. I don't know how that's going to work.
So it sounds like there are a lot of people fighting the repeal of the Second Amendment. This is really good news for anyone who loves the Constitution. Now, earlier you had mentioned Stalin, and if you do any studies at all on Stalin, you'll see that he made it his goal to turn socialism into communism. There's very, very much of a fine line there. And we have a lot of supporters, especially in Oregon, the Portland area, that love socialism. A lot of people openly admit that they would prefer a communist state, a Marxist communist state. And I kind of think of socialism as like Snow White's poisoned apple. You know, she didn't eat it because she thinks she'd get sick. She ate it because it looked good, right?
Yeah.
And so socialism is it's poison to our Constitution, to our way of living. As a free state, it literally teaches you to give up your freedoms willingly. So talk to me a little bit, first of all, about what you see going on now that leans our country into socialism.
Well, you notice that all these people that think socialism is a good idea, and they think Marxism is really good, are people that have never lived in that kind of society.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, and if they wanted to, they could. They can go to Cuba or Venezuela or China, North Korea. They could go live there. Yeah, but they're not doing that.
Right.
And the people that have lived under that kind of system don't want it. And like Putin, he was pretty powerful under that system.
Yeah.
But he isn't trying to take the people of Russia back to that system. He's going back to the Tsar.
I actually don't know enough about Russia's political system, as probably I should, considering all of the hype. Yeah. I kind of just got tired of hearing about it, to be honest with you. If you suddenly had a change of personality and decided you wanted to be a communist dictator, what is the first thing that you would do?
Well, you have to take away everybody's guns.
That's actually something that Stalin said repeatedly, wrote it down in a diary. The first thing that you have to do is take away their right and ability to defend themselves against the government, which, in my opinion, is the reason that was included in the Constitution.
It was. And Chairman Mao Tse-tung, in his little red book, said, the power of the government lies in the gun barrel. The government has to have the guns so they can have the power. Yep. Yeah, and he murdered millions of people, of his own people, trying to impose his Marxist utopia on them. And it happens that way every time, because if you have a free thought, the government class is supposed to be the elite. They're supposed to be, under Marxist ideology, all socialist ideology. Hitler had the same belief. So did the guy that invented the word Mussolini. And he started out as a socialist and then changed his to fascism, but it was really more of a name change than anything else.
Right. How would you define socialism then in terms of something that would turn us into a North Korean dictatorship? What do you find as the socialism that we fear?
The government believes that they are the answer to everything. They have all the answers. And that people basically stupid, and can't take care of themselves. So the government has to do everything, and the government makes all the decisions.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, for that to work, the idea is, that the government class, they're more intelligent than everyone else. They're more honest than everyone else, and they're more competent than everyone else. Okay, are they more intelligent than we are? I mean, they do some pretty stupid things.
They are us. We're human. We're
Yeah.
all humans. So the fact that anyone could think they're more intelligent than the masses is just mind-boggling to me. Now, I don't think that the masses are always correct. One thing that I fear in my life is the 51% ruling the 49%. That's not really fair. That's not equal.
Well, that's why we have the Electoral College.
Mm-hmm.
That's exactly why. That's also why we have a United States Senate. Because the founders of this country were worried that at that time they were worried about Virginia and New York. And
Right.
New York is still one of the problems. But they were worried about them if it was a direct democracy, that they would elect whoever they want, and then they would run roughshod over everybody else.
Absolutely. So that's why they gave 2 senators to each state, no matter the population.
Yeah, and it's also why we have an electoral college.
Mm-hmm.
That way, if New York and California, which are both socialist countries, and they can have a majority of the people, but you can go to these other states that don't have as many people, but if you get enough of them, you can, through the Electoral College, you can still keep your country. I think we're pretty close to.
Yeah. Okay, well, I appreciate you being so thorough in all of your answers and really delving into some specifics here regarding everything. So thank you, Michael, for sitting in with us today, okay?
Thank you, Tiffany.